and welcome to another edition of the Grandstanders Live. I'm your host, Scott Kerman, and I'm joined by my usual cohorts, Russ Stevens on my left, Uncle Joe McLaughlin on my far right, and by popular demand, he's back, the barber to the stars, Pete McGilvery. And boys, the season has begun. The Red Sox opened up on Monday with rave reviews, winning 8-0. They weren't so lucky last night, losing 4-2. Got to have your early season thoughts. Russ, tell me what you think of the new team.
2 games, 2 decent starts, right? I don't think Porcello pitched badly last night. And Bunkholz, you got to like what he did. So if you were going to script it, you know, even though you're only 1-1, two games, 2 good starts, nothing better than that.
Hit the long ball, keep the ball in the park for the other team.
Do we trust Bunkholz? I mean, he did pitch against the Phillies, and that's a really pathetic offensive team.
Not quite yet, but give him a chance. It's time for optimism. It's the start of the season.
Well, you got to use the eye test. You know, we said a few weeks ago, we wish Bunkholz would throw that changeup and get back to that same kind of 4 pitches, throw that changeup. That changeup looked really good the other night, and if he throws that thing, you know, he'll save himself some wear and tear and see how far into the season he gets. Yeah.
And the debut of Rick Porcello, who, before he starts the Red Sox the first game, gets signed to a 4-year extension at $82 million. I thought he actually looked good last night, managed the game well. Your feelings about the signing of Porcello?
Threw one bad pitch, really.
Yeah.
You know, the signing, I have no problem with signing. 26 years old, you know, is that ace money? What does he get, 22?
I think it's projecting forward, it's probably number 2 starter money.
Number 2?
Yeah.
But you got to pay someone, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you got to have guys who pitch. This is the Boston Red Sox. They print money. So, look, you got a guy locked up for now the next 5 years because he has a year right now at 12.5.
I think you got to give him credit for sticking with their philosophy. The philosophy they said in terms of not signing Lester was we don't want to pay for pitchers who are over 30. We want to pay for the prime of a pitcher's career. The 2 guys they signed, Miley and Porcello, are both going to be in their mid to late 20s earning that money. Now, whether they made the right choices with those guys, who knows, but they stuck with their philosophy.
And they must have seen something they liked. They must have really liked what they saw in spring training.
Now, it's kind of weird because we didn't sign John Lester. He signs for $160 million. We go and pay another guy who we acquired because of John Lester with a Cespedes deal for $80 million. So we really are sticking to our principles. Young guys who are right? We're not going to pay anybody over 30.
And Masterson, you know, he's on a trial year. If he does well, he'll get a 2 or 3 year deal for his reward, I'm sure.
Look, they have, correct me if I'm wrong, they've got, Bunkholz has a couple of options at the team's discretion.
Yeah, right.
You've got
so he's
Miley
locked up for a while.
and Porcello locked up.
Yeah.
Masterson's on a 1-year deal. Who knows? But and Kelly, I think, is signed for a while. So you've got the ability to pull some of these AAA pitchers, our studs down in AAA, into the rotation over time. And it's going to be the best performances win, I think.
It's not a terrible setup, but now, do you still want Cole Hamels, or do you still want one of those guys?
Yeah, absolutely. During the course of the season, if you feel like you need it to put you over the hump, absolutely you're going to do that move, right? I mean,
I think so. I don't think either of those. It's a great question because do either of these signings preclude you from bringing a number 1 pitcher in? Had you paid Porcello 30, it would have been tough to bring in a Cole Hamels. But even if you brought in a number 1, you shift these guys to numbers 2 and 3 in the rotation, and the thing still lines up pretty well.
Hamels still would make $24 million this year, so he would be the highest paid.
He would,
but
he's also the most accomplished.
You know, I love John Lester. You know, I have a love affair with John Lester, one of my favorite players of all time. But I don't know if you watched that game on Sunday, and all of a sudden, all the John Lester phobias have come out, right? John Lester has not thrown to first base for a pickoff in 2 years.
Or something
he can't throw to bases if you bunt on him. Of course, he can't hit. He's 0 for 37. Oh, and also, he needs to have his private catcher, David Ross, at all times, who also can't hit. Yeah. So if you're a Chicago Cubs fan, you're like, what did we get?
A 7-man lineup.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of looks all of a sudden like it's gone south quickly.
It's the thing about it is the pitching is so hard to predict, right? I mean, would you bet your life on the fact that Lester is going to have a better year than Porcello? No, you think he's likely to have.
Yeah.
He's very
Right,
likely, right?
yeah,
He's
right,
75%
yeah.
likely.
Yeah.
But there's a decent enough chance that Porcello pitches just as well as John Lester this year.
Great
It's
point.
going to be interesting to watch Porcello with some defense, with some guys that can
He had 10 ground ball outs, I think, last
Yeah.
night, something like
keep
that.
the ball in the ballpark.
I
except
thought
for
he
one
looked
pitch.
good. I thought he looked good. Now, we've got to talk about one Hanley Ramirez, who looks like he's playing slow pitch softball. I mean, he looks like every
Yeah.
time he's going to go
I
up
know.
there, he's going to
gonna
take
mash.
it deep. Right. I didn't think he was this good, but he looks like the real deal.
As Bill,
That ball he hit last night would have been out, you know, 350 days of the year. That one he hit with the bases
crushed
loaded.
that ball.
He hammered that ball.
Does he remind you of Manny
in a
Ramirez?
situation.
Oh, absolutely.
In a situation.
Yeah.
And just for Red Sox Nation, I want you to know that I'm hydrated. I'm drinking all the time, all the juices. So I'm ready to pee in the cup for any Red Sox who may need it. And Hanley may need it. You know,
When guys on your own team are talking about how, you know, Hanley's bulked up over the winter,
Yeah.
Pete Pedroia said that the other day. I'm like, Dustin, you may want to keep that on the down low.
Yeah,
That was the
right.
Nautilus
The
machine.
Patriots are looking at him now.
Fred Lynn Nautilus machine.
Fredlin
It does wonders.
machine gained 20 pounds of muscle in a couple of weeks.
Never
Yes.
been in better shape.
I know he did. Yeah, but I mean, it's going to be interesting in Hanley in the field because he looks like he has about 1 or 2 feet each way.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of balls he doesn't get to. Yeah.
If he plays the wall well enough in Fenway, you'll be serviceable, right?
But
He's a future DH.
right in
or-
places like Detroit or spacious outfielders, he's going to have a problem.
Mookie's going to have his work cut out for
Yankees.
him.
Yeah, he's gonna have
Right,
to get
Mookie's going to need to cover a lot of ground.
Oh yeah, and, we're talking about this wonderful outfield defensively we're going to have. Last night we had Hanley in left, and my favorite player Daniel Nava in right. Poor Mookie. I mean, he needs to get extra time.
You got to wonder.
Center, left center, right
Wasn't it curious that Farrell switches his line? They score 8 runs on opening day. They get a day off, and all of a sudden Daniel Nava's in our lineup
He
last
pulls a
night.
Claude.
Because he wants to get all the boys in.
Yeah, Pete. I mean, what are they doing with Shane Victorino? Is it David Ortiz and Shane Victorino run the Red Sox? Yeah. Does it feel like that sometimes?
We know who runs the Red Sox.
Well, Big Papi runs the Red Sox.
Papi runs the Red
Sox. But is Shane Victorino his vice president?
Yeah, he's
Because
like
why does he have pull
commander-in-chief.
in the team?
I don't know. I know, but we could see Brock
Weather
Holt tonight
related.
instead of
Do you
Xander.
think he asked out of the game?
He did. What did Joe? Joe, you said that Farrell said that what?
He said his absence from the lineup was weather related.
Right.
Oh,
I mean,
Lord.
Cal Ripken Jr. doesn't play in games
Not
below
doing anything
60
for his trade
60
value, is he?
degrees.
I mean,
Not doing
is he
anything for his
serious?
trade value.
I mean,
No, can't have that.
I mean, that's not going to last long, especially if they're 4 and 8. All of a sudden, I mean,
Yeah.
If
Yeah, we
things
got
go-
to start to keep an eye on Rusney Castillo down in AAA and see how he's doing, right?
If they want to be serious about having a good defensive outfield, they got to have him out there.
Yeah, look, right now, in the 25-man roster, and we'll talk about the bullpen because I don't know about anybody who's on the bullpen, actually, but if Bradley was up right now and Castillo and Nava was sent to Timbuktu with Victorino, I'd be a happier man right now because I don't think you have your top 25 when you don't have Bradley, who'd come in as a great defensive replacement,
Late inning.
and
Late inning.
Castillo, whose upside is so much greater than Victorino's. So why are we playing those little games?
He has to get at bats, doesn't he, Jackie?
I don't know. Why doesn't...
Yeah, I think I agree with Pete. You got to get Jackie Bradley Jr. 100, 150
get him
plate
to come
appearances just consecutively and see if this hitting has actually come back or it hasn't and he's a fifth outfielder.
Yeah, he'll be sitting
Defensive
on the bench
replacement.
up here a lot.
Yeah, I don't think Jackie Bradley should
That's a
be
good
sitting
point.
up.
No,
Yeah,
you're right.
I think
You're
it's a
right.
good
Okay.
point.
All right. But I'm moving forward as the season progresses when we need guys like that. Especially when Hanley starts to expose himself as just a terrible outfielder. It's going to be nice to have Jackie in there.
On the big games, you want to
Yeah.
get the defensive guy in there.
Right.
yeah,
So
late.
maybe June it changes. All right. So we have a bullpen of strangers. Literally, right? I think that
right.
we're all big Red Sox fans. Know the roster at all times, and I don't know who's coming out of that bullpen. Ricky Ross, Robbie Ross,
Favaro.
Ricky Bobby.
David Ross. Yeah, right?
Yeah, Favaro, Ogando,
Yeah.
a couple of Japanese players.
All I know is Cesaro.
who we know,
Anyone
right,
else is
exactly.
a stranger.
Yeah, I'm sitting there going, is Craig Breslow on the team? Is he,
He is,
is he a scientist at NASA? What
Yeah.
is, I mean, why is it that we don't know anybody on the Red Sox bullpen?
Well, I'm not going to blame him for it, though. The bullpens are just such a crapshoot, by and large. You
Every
don't
year
know what
they're
you're going to
totally
get.
reconstructed.
Yeah, you don't know what you're going to get. from year to year out of your bullpen. And the worst thing you see is when they start signing guys 5-year contracts for $4 million a year or $9 million a year for relievers, and you're stuck with them. Right? Yeah. So who knows? I mean, they could be horrible, they could be great. We won't know for another 20 games.
Yeah, remember the bullpen is important. I mean,
hugely important.
They try to go, 6 or 7 and then go to the bullpen, right?
Yeah.
That's the model. That has been the model.
Yeah, right. We saw the Kansas City Royals, which they got to the World Series Game 7 based on the whole
Yeah, see,
bullpen.
Matt Barnes, when they bring him up, that's more the Kansas City model. Young guys who throw gas.
Yeah.
That Kansas City bullpen last year, one guy threw harder than the next.
Yeah. And nobody throws 90, I don't think, in this pen.
Ogando
is it, but his arm might fall off any day now.
Yeah,
that we may not get 25 games out of him.
And relief pitchers are just starters who couldn't make it, right? But I don't know. I'm not confident, right?
Yeah. I don't Speaking of relievers, did anyone catch Papelbon's line in the paper today? Papelbon said,
I heard it.
I still feel like a Red Sox. I've never felt like a Philly.
Wow.
Oh, I know. Wow.
And he said, "Do you feel like a Philly now?" He says, "Well,
not really.
Philly's a horse."
Yeah,
I feel like a horse.
If you're a Phillies fan,
he's literally trying to shoot himself out of town, right?
He's tried before and they've kept him.
But he's trying to get.
I would be bananas if I was a Phillies fan.
But he's trying to get himself cut, isn't he?
I think so.
Yeah, I mean he's
trying to get himself shipped back to Boston.
Baseball contract, you still get paid no matter what.
What's worse, that or Big Papi hugging a guy on the base paths during a game?
We've seen that for years.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Nothing surprises me.
The commissioner. Yeah,
right.
I don't understand. Yeah, that's a weird act. But I love Big Papi, so I'll cut him some slack. But I agree with you. That gets weird, okay? Yeah, and at some point, David Price drilling Big Papi, I'm going to start to agree with him at some point. If Big Papi spends 10,
He keeps waltzing around the bases.
And Hanley does the same thing, if you notice.
Hanley does the same thing, right.
Yeah. 10 minutes. Come on, just go around the bases. You hit a home run, okay? Post later.
Put the run up there on the board.
Mookie Betts has become must-see TV, right? I mean, every up at bat.
He's everyone's favorite
If I'm
now.
on the computer messing around, I go stand in front of the TV set and I watch Mookie Betts go up.
Yeah.
I mean, is he a phenomenon?
Yeah, he rips the ball. It reminds me a little bit of Nomar in the first few years when every ball that Nomar hit was just on a line somewhere.
Yeah. Nomar was must-see TV for a while.
It's that same kind of, maybe not hitting it out like Manny was must-see because you could hit a home run at any point. Yeah. But Mookie, you just feel like almost every at-bat he's going to hit at least one ball hard, fair or foul.
He's due for the inside the Parker any day.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Reminds me a lot of Ellis Burks going back in time.
Young
Ellis Burks.
Yeah. Very nice.
More and more, I think this guy, except for, of course, my man Xander Bogaerts, is the face of the Red Sox. And
the face of the
that's where we have to talk about. There was an article today by Alex Spear talking about Xander Bogaerts and basically after 2 games that he may not be the player that Scott Kerman thinks he is. Well, I will tell you right now, Xander Bogaerts is still going to be the true star of the Boston Red Sox.
Okay, but let's take a little accounting. Yeah. In general, I agree with you, but let's take a little accounting. Add up all the times we've seen Xander play A baseball, or even A- baseball. We saw it in the playoff series 2 years ago, a little bit at the beginning of last year, and then at the end of last year, he played maybe B- baseball. It was just so much better than the middle part.
We messed with him
we
last
basically,
year.
And in between, it was a gentleman's C.
We're very quick to make excuses for Xander.
We are.
That's my only point.
Absolutely.
Right? They shifted positions. It's too cold. He's from Aruba. Yeah. He's batting 7th.
Yeah, let's call him.
There's always an excuse for Xander.
We call our
he has
babies,
no
but we
protection.
take care of our young.
Let's talk about the position change. They switched Mookie Betts from second base to center field with 3 games of practice. Yeah. Did anyone? Why can Mookie do it? All Xander had to do is move 40 feet to his right.
And he'd been doing it all his life, too.
What did he do wrong? He's excelled
Xander
everywhere.
was horrible last year for about 70 games.
Because they screwed with him.
They screwed with Mookie Betts and he was
even
fine.
more.
What's that?
They screwed with Mookie Betts and he's fine.
He's been played 50
Brock
games.
Holt played 6 positions.
Mookie Betts has played 50 games.
And he's
seriously
better than...
And 100 batting points.
Russ is already ready to drive him to Cooperstown for the induction.
I'm not ready. Look, I love Xander Bogaerts, but I'm just... It's just funny to see all the
Yeah.
excuses.
No, you
There's
don't love
always
him.
an
You no,
excuse.
no. This
There's
is
always an
Mookie's got
excuse.
charisma. That's
no.
what it is. Mookie's got charisma.
So
Xander
I'll
doesn't.
ask you guys a question. You have
Xander
to trade.
exudes it.
You have to trade one of the two. You have to. There's a law that comes down.
Oh,
And Ron
no.
Manfred
Oh,
says you
interesting.
cannot have Mookie Betts or Xander Bogaerts
You got
on the
your
team.
Aruba passport?
Joe, who are you trading?
I'm afraid to say, but it's Xander.
Oh, you've
Pete,
got it.
who are you trading?
Well,
Gun to your head, Pete.
I'm just saying, the way he made Papelbon look like Goose Gossage last night at the end of the game, I'd have to say.
Oh, traded Xander. Xander's out. Xander, you're gone.
It was cold.
It was
It's
right.
rainy. He's from Aruba.
You're
we
out.
don't have that kind
Xander's
of
out.
weather.
That was
Xander's
bad.
out.
Yeah, you're
Thank
right.
God we don't have to trade one of the two of them. But I'm just
No,
saying.
I think you're just going to have to wait another year for Xander to develop.
No, look.
Mookie-
The Red Sox-
Mookie
the
hatched
Red Sox
fully-
think he's
fully
the
grown.
What we'll hear
Big
this year is
future.
that Xander's feeling too much pressure from Brock Holt as his backup and he can't perform.
No.
Right?
No. Don't you
No,
worry
we'll
about
see.
Xander.
I'm sure
Don't
Xander
you
will
worry
be
about
fine.
it. If I ever trade Xander, I am
Brock
literally
Holt did have a better
handcuffing
year.
myself to Fenway Park's front door. Let them get.
Well,
We're
you don't have to
we
worry
may have
because the
to-
Red Sox
we
look
may
at
have
him
to
the
keep
same
him
way
to
they
that.
looked at Buchholz for 8
We'll give
years.
Kenny the lock pick.
No, I understand.
They see something that they absolutely love in the kid, and he's not,
He's a kid too, right? He's 21 years
Look,
old.
he's got plenty of time to develop. I'm sure he'll be fine. I'm sure he'll be fine eventually.
one of the
4 or 5
stars.
Maybe
years.
another year of seasoning.
Yeah, he may need. Well, I think he has
Oh,
options.
in
left.
Pawtucket?
He has options left. So that's all
Options
that's-
left. You guys are crazy. Seriously, that is the problem with Boston sports fans. Is you guys are all so spoiled.
Immediate
Right, is
gratification,
you
yes,
can't
we do.
appreciate the fact that we have young players who need to develop, and we have to watch that.
that's what we have the minor leagues for.
Oh, you've got to be kidding! No,
Every
We should
kid's like
move
a
on.
scratch
We
ticket
should
to
move
us.
on. We'll pick
Either
this
a
up
winner
again.
or a loser.
all right,
See you later.
okay, all right. So, we've talked a lot about heavy athletes in town.
Yes, we
Sullinger, Vince Wilfork, but I have to mention Pablo Sandoval is really fat. I mean, that's really distracting. Okay, and also he's a switch hitter, but he cannot hit from the right side.
No.
That's embarrassing. He hit under 200 last year, and if you saw the first game,
Yeah.
so. Are they going to try to platoon him at some point? Because that doesn't look like it's a good fit as far as him hitting.
It was
lefties.
cold.
Yeah.
So, and we know how it affected Xander, so I can only imagine.
All right.
No,
All right.
look, I think you're right. We may have gotten a somewhat one-dimensional player in him. We paid a lot of money from a guy who maybe just be one-dimensional. So, look, there's obviously a long way to go. But if he can't hit right-handed, that's a problem, right?
Right.
It's a problem.
All right. So now, what's the over/under on Shane Victorino as far as pulling up lane? I thought we would give me the number of games
In a
that
contract year?
Yeah, in a contract year.
I think we'll put it at 100 games he plays this year.
100 games you have him?
Over under.
100 sounds good.
Yeah.
75 tops.
Yeah. I think really
Yeah.
30, and I think he's done. Absolutely. Yeah. You can just feel it. And
He's at least got one in the bank.
all right, well, that's the numbers. But all right, we got about 10 minutes left. I thought we would go to. I hadn't mentioned the Bruins and one David Krejci. I came on the show a few weeks ago when we had Pete on the show, and I said he was the most overrated Bruin currently on the roster, and these guys ate my lunch for it. And Krejci's come back from his injury because he's been injured. And he's been back like 5 or 6 games, boys, and not
Out of
even
position.
sniffing a point. So I asked the 3 experts, what's up with your boy David
Hey.
Krejci?
Tell him.
Well, he is out of position. He's playing on the wing.
Okay. All
They
right.
messed with him, so they
Strange
changed his
line.
position
Yeah.
and they messed with him.
And it's cold.
Which was
The ice
acceptable.
is cold.
So apparently it's acceptable when they change Bogarts as an excuse, but when they change Krejci, it's not.
No.
For you, right?
What's that?
They changed positions. Krejci's playing right wing now. They switched his position.
They messed with him.
Yeah.
They messed with
They
him,
messed
right?
with him.
Exactly.
Just like they messed with Bogarts.
Yeah, because they put Stephen Drew at center and then David Krejci. No,
yeah.
all right.
Look, he made I don't know if he made such a horrible defensive decision last night on that goal that you did wonder, like, well, where's his head
His
at this point
timing
in
is,
time?
he's still a little slow,
Yeah.
it looks like to me. Because
The
he's a
heart-
great player,
yeah.
but he's just not he's not connecting, I don't think. Yet. They brought him back
Yeah.
very soon. They bring them all back too soon. Took Seidenberg 3/4 of a season
great
to get
point, Pete.
to get
But David
decent.
Krejci's hurt all the time. So they got to bring him back at some
Well, he
point.
plays hard.
Plays hard. He's a great playoff player if they get there.
I have a sense. I don't know if you have a sense. I have a sense they're not making the playoffs.
Doesn't
Doesn't it feel like
right,
that?
does it? I don't know what, we were saying this earlier, I don't know what Klo was thinking about last night, scrambling his lines like scrambled eggs when they won 5 straight games, and Klo does, as you were saying, Pete, does something he's never done. Wholesale line switches.
But
When they lost 10 in a row, he wouldn't do it.
Right.
He's criticized
I don't know what's
for
going on
not
there.
doing it, and then all of a sudden he does it.
Do you think Cam Neely is whispering in his ear? Because I don't think Chiarelli has any say anymore. But I think Cam Neely
they're
is.
worried
I don't
about
think
their
Cam Neely
jobs.
whispers.
You don't think so? Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. Because
You think they're worried about their jobs?
Yeah, this is uncharacteristic of Claude. So I think he's worried about his job, or his boss is worried about his job, and is putting pressure on him.
What's interesting is he did it in a game that could have changed everything if they won.
That's right.
Yeah.
If they won last night,
They were walking into the playoffs.
it was a done deal.
See, I don't think Neely would tell him not to play the young guys. I think, if anything, Neely's telling him, you've got something good going.
Yeah.
Stick with the young guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he's demoting Pasternak to the 4th line. It
As
just didn't
general
make any
manager,
sense.
those kids are selling tickets. They're selling
Absolutely.
Well, they're
merchandise.
defense first. They are defense
I know,
first.
but they won 5 straight games with 2 young guys on that first line. Do you think they'll get fired? Do you think Chiarelli and Julian are gone if they don't make the playoffs?
It's hard to fire a guy when he makes the playoffs every year. I mean, he's made the playoffs every year he's been
So
there.
maybe Chiarelli gets canned?
No, I think
keep
they're
Harry
a
Simmons
matching
made the
set.
playoffs every year, and
They're a matching set.
disappeared
They
in the
go
first round.
together.
You think
they
so?
go together. They
Yeah.
may go together to a new team. You know, I
Right.
mean, literally.
Oh, they'll both
'cause-
have a job within a week.
But I think they'll
guaranteed.
probably go together. So I think they're gone. Yeah, but Cam
If they
Neely's
don't
not
make the
going
playoffs.
anywhere.
Yeah.
Just so anyone
No,
knows,
he's hunkered down.
Yeah, Cam Neely
So
is. He
it's
might
a
as well
life-
be Cam Jacobs.
Yeah, it's like a
You know, when
Supreme
you-
Court
When you see
appointment.
when you see the highlights of all the goals and the saves, and then they show Cam Neely up in the box
Going
with a goal,
bananas.
I mean, that's a highlight.
No, you're right. Exactly. He is the face of the organization.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, as much as anyone right now. So yeah, I think they're gone. Celtics, kind of different. All of a sudden, I have a sense that the Celtics are going to make the playoffs. Watching that game last night,
It's great.
Isaiah Thomas, 34
They
points.
were the shining light last night. They were the only team in town that won.
I mean,
Such a great story.
Yeah,
Isn't
it's
it
a
a
lot of
great
fun.
story? Here's
Yeah.
a team that, if we had said at the beginning of the year, they're going to be in the playoff race with 3 games to go, none of us would have ever believed that, especially if you had said, and you're going to trade Rondo and Green and have Sullinger, your 3rd best player, miss 25 games in the stretch. It's a great story.
it is great. And I didn't even realize, like, last night that Jay Crowder, I think, is 24 years old. They actually acquired some young players who actually can play. I mean, their future.
And under their control for a while, too.
Right, they're playing at a certain level that the NBA doesn't usually play at. I mean, you can see the guys on the other team are like, Marcus Smart, why are you playing so much defense? You know?
That's
right. And so Brad Stevens has his team. I think they go to
He
the
has
playoffs.
his young team.
Yep.
You know, those guys are going to listen to him.
And then look, they get the 8th seed, boys. They play the Atlanta Hawks, who had like half their team arrested a few
Right.
nights ago. They could beat the Atlanta Hawks. They
Yeah, that's fun.
absolutely could beat them.
They'll win a game or two, and then maybe something crazy happens, and they win another one, and you're in a game 7 or something. But even if they go in and get swept, I always think of the NBA as a progression. You need to go to that first round, and you'll lose, and then you'll see teams move up the
Climb the
ladder
rungs
until
to the
they're
ladder.
ready to compete for a championship, and this is the first rung on the ladder.
Even LeBron did that
Absolutely.
I'm going to go crazy talk.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
They get in the playoffs in the 8th seed. They're going to beat Atlanta. And if we can find somehow that team in Canada, the Toronto Raptors,
Yeah.
who stink, and we play them well, we'll beat the Toronto Raptors too.
That would be- what a story that would be, right?
But if you remember, once when we went to the Eastern Conference Finals with Antoine, and we played the
That's
New
true,
Jersey
yeah.
Nets,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
And we had no reason being there.
Yeah.
And every one of those games is great for that team, great for that coach,
Yep.
Totally
great
agree.
for that coach.
Yeah, he
and
needs the
that
experience,
environment.
too.
You're right.
This is
yeah.
a team that has total faith in the system and the coach.
Yeah.
That's the only way you can play this far over your head for this long, is that you have complete buy-in to the system.
And if
Great
you
point.
weren't buying and you're gone.
You're gone. He is and Stevens I think carries a fair amount of weight in there. I think if he,
Need some big guys, though.
absolutely. I mean, they need a wing player and they need a big guy.
Yeah.
Really.
Maybe two
Yeah,
big
you're
guys.
right.
They need Kawhi Leonard and they need a
Oh, yeah.
big
That'd
guy.
be nice.
Right?
But to tell you how things have changed, Brad Stevens, 2 months ago, would say, "Oh, I don't know who the roster's on today. Danny Ainge just tells me who's on the team today, and I just coach him." Last week, he's like, "I like Gigi Totomi, and I would like him to be on the team next year."
Right.
Feeling good.
Well, if the trading deadline was next week, he might still be saying that.
No, but who's the VP of player personnel right now, too? Is one Brad Stevens, right?
He's carrying some weight. He's there's no question he's hearing all of these plaudits that all of these opposing coaches, it's like clockwork. Celtics go in, win or lose, the opposing coach says that Brad Stevens can coach him up. Those other players say, yeah, these guys play hard.
He's taken the lemons and made lemonade.
He's earned it.
He has earned it. Yeah.
And we're kind of spoiled here because of the success of our teams. We have coaches that stay, right? I mean, long term, right?
Continuity is important.
It's a big deal. You're totally right, Joe.
Yeah, we're not running for coaches
deal.
in this town anymore, right?
Yeah, other than Bobby V. We had the short-lived Bobby V era, and that was it. That was the only disruption.
Foul, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, but that's not like
it.
Boston sports fans. We love our players, right?
And we hate our coaches.
And we hate our coaches, right?
You second guess them all the time.
Yeah.
We love the laundry. The laundry's
Farrell's
first.
real good for this, though.
Oh, Farrell. Oh,
He's the
don't
king
give me
of the
some
second guess.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Look, my prediction still stands. Things go south for the Red Sox early.
Okay, crazy
You
talk.
guys, seriously,
Here's
I don't know
crazy
why
talk.
everyone's so in love with John Farrell.
I'm not. It's not that I'm in love. I just don't think they're not going to can him.
I don't think they'll go south that as
Yeah,
quickly
they're
as
not
you
going to
think.
can him like that.
Why? I hope not.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm telling you something. If going back to the Red Sox, it's like if that bullpen all of a sudden tanks out, things could go really bad really quickly.
He's afraid to use it, too.
If Xander doesn't emerge from his funk, this thing could get very ugly.
Yeah, I just want to mention. I don't know the.
Well, now he's batting 8th, maybe 9th when we come back to the
Oh,
American
you
League.
got to
Brock
be right.
Holt might
Maybe
start.
10th. We'll
By
have
the
him
way,
back.
Brock Holt might be starting shortstop on opening day on Monday.
Guys, I don't know anything about the Massachusetts labor laws, but I will say one thing, that Junichi Tozawa should get involved somehow with the laws because they're going to burn that guy out.
Oh, my gosh,
Make
yeah.
sure
He's the
you
only
know.
guy he trusts.
The only guy he trusts, he's going to end up pitching that guy 120 games, just like the whole Yankees used to do with the Paul Quantrells of the world, where they kind of burn these guys out, right? These middle relievers, and all of a
Go
sudden.
Robertson, and then they give him
Yeah.
a big contract and he can't throw anymore.
Or they burn out, and all of a sudden, they're on the street selling insurance.
Yeah.
So it's going to be Junichi Tozawa every game, right?
It may very well be, yeah.
They have to be.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sometimes it's all right. Remember Embry in the 7th, Timlin in the 8th?
Well,
Folk
Grady
in the
Little
9th.
didn't remember that.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be opening day on Monday. We're
Yeah.
very excited to be back in the
Yeah.
Red Sox. Russ and I will be in our Red Sox Affordable Housing Program, Section 8, sitting there.
Section 8 housing.
And it's always the best day, isn't it? Opening day at Fenway.
Absolutely.
Best.
Yeah.
Just the crowd outside the gates is great.
The two best days are always opening day and Patriots Day.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
can't wait. So that's another show. Want to thank Russ Stevens, Uncle Joe McLaughlin, and the barber to the stars, Pete McGilvery. My name is Scott Kerman. Have a great night.
He's got it tight now.